So this is extra practice of just doing a bunch of trinomials. And this is from my review of factoring, my quick review series. So I'll just show you. So here's everything that we're going to factor, plus also, are you ready? Also all of these, and also all of these. So we're just going to factor a ton of stuff. So this video specifically just continues extra practice exercises from my review video. So if you want to check out the review video, I'll drop a link in the description. By the way, you can get a free PDF version of all of these problems with an answer key at dividingconquermath.com. Just go to the review section and you'll find everything there. Okay, so you can pause the video if you want to read these over. Since the PDF is available, I'd say if you want to try these, pause right now. Otherwise, I am just going to start plowing right through these. So in the review video, we talked about these types of problems, and really as long as you just have x squared here, what you can do is you can look for two numbers that multiply to this number but add to the middle number. So for 6, there's two ways you can really make 6, right? Positive 6. You can make it as 2 times 3 or 6 times 1. And of course, if I were to add these together, 2 plus 3 will give me 5, but 6 plus 1 will give me 7. So then this will factor as x plus 6 and x plus 1. Doesn't matter if you flip where the x or where the 6 and the 1 are, but these are the two factors that you need. And so in a similar vein for b here, so to factor b, two numbers that multiply to 20 but add to 9, that's going to be 5 times 4 because 5 plus 4 will make 9. So this will be x plus 5 and x plus 4. Okay, so now we have x squared plus 17x plus 72. So for 72, two numbers that make 72. The first two that pop into mind for me are 9 and 8. And I notice that, yes, 9 plus 8 will give me 17. So that'll be x plus 9 and x plus 8. Okay, now for d here, now we're getting into a negative number. So you need two numbers that multiply to 9 but add to negative 6. So the only way you can get a positive number here but a negative number here is you have to be multiplying two negative numbers. So this could be either negative 9 times negative 1 or negative 3 times negative 3. But of course you'll notice, right, if I take negative 3 plus negative 3, I will get that negative 6. So this will be x minus 3 times x minus 3, or you could write this as x minus 3 squared. So same thing holds for e here. So since this is a positive number here but negative here, that tells me that I have to multiply two negative numbers. And so I note that negative 4 times negative 3, that will indeed add up to 7. So this will be x minus 4 and x minus 3. And the same thing's going to hold for 50. So the only thing with 50 is there's a lot of different ways that you can make 50. So of course it could be negative 25 times negative 2. Could be negative 10 times negative 5. There are other combinations of how you can make 50, but you note here negative 10 and negative 5 will give me negative 15. So this will be x minus 10 and x minus 5. Okay, so continuing on, I have this next set of problems here. So again, you can pause here if you want to try them and then watch the solutions. Strongly recommend that you do try these on your own. Math is not a spectator sport. Okay, so now I have this interesting situation where I need two numbers that make negative 12 but add to negative 1. So one number has to be positive, one number has to be negative. And I notice right away negative 4 times 3, so negative 4 plus 3 will give me negative 1. So that will be the way that you kind of play with that. So that'll be x minus 4 and x plus 3. Now, for the rest of these, so I talked about problems like this at length, difference of square problems. And so in the review video, we really talked about there is a pattern with these types of problems. So you're going to have this set up where really what you're focused on here is this number right here. This number, if you have two terms and this number is a perfect square. By the way, if you aren't familiar with your perfect squares, you can pause the video here. Here's just a quick list for you. So for 1, so 1 is a perfect square because it's 1 times 1. And so whatever number it is that would be squared that gets you to that final number that you want, that's going to be where your plus or minus is. So in this case, so this is going to be plus 1 minus 1 because 1 times negative 1 will give me negative 1 right here. So let's continue on with that. So say like I have like x squared minus 16. So again, I'll throw up this list of perfect squares. 16 is 4 squared, that's 4 times 4. So those are going to be the two numbers that you input. So this will be x plus 4 and x minus 4. And it's always that pattern with the difference of squares, which again is having a number here minus a number here that's a perfect square. So x squared minus 36, so that's going to be x plus 6 and x minus 6. Okay, now where this ends up going is we do just play around a little bit with the difference of squares and start making it just a little bit harder. So before I had x squared minus 36 was equal to this. So I just want you to notice with this next example, I have x squared minus 36y squared. So this is almost the same as the last example, except we have this y squared. And y squared is a perfect square, right? So remember, what makes a perfect square? It's something squared, right? 6 squared is 36. So if I have 36y squared, if it were on this side, then it would just be 6y, right? So this is going to be x plus 6y, x minus 6y. So we really just tack that y on, and I have to keep it the same here, and then that will ultimately get me to this y squared here. And so L here is also a very subtle change. So now instead of having the x squared come first, we have the 25 come first. And so we just want to maintain the order then. If the number comes first, then we're going to also have the number come first in the brackets. So this is going to be 5's first, and now it's got to be the x that ends up as the negative, right? So this will be plus x and minus x. So I am just maintaining the order within the difference of squares. By the way, if you're finding this content helpful, I'd love it if you hit that like button, that subscribe button, or leave me a comment. Okay, so I have a handful more of these. Same idea. Once you kind of get the pattern set, it comes together. It feels really weird the first few times you do this, but once the pattern makes sense, most people say it's kind of fun even. So let's say I have 25y squared now minus x squared. So again, it's all about what comes first, what comes second. Whatever's got the minus sign, this is going to be the part that's going to get that plus or minus, right? So for 25y squared, I'm going to have a 5y here and a 5y here. And then to get that minus x squared, I'm just going to have minus x plus x. And so there you go. Okay, so with that in mind, why don't you try 25y squared minus 36x squared? So this is going to be 5y minus 6x and 5y plus 6x, right? So we've done 25, we've done 36. So the fact that these are both squareds, I just put those terms in their respective brackets. So the same idea goes even with fractions. So don't worry about the fractions so much. Notice that 25 and 81 are both perfect squares. So again, if you're watching this, just like make a guess based on the rest of the pattern. See if you can continue it. See if you can surprise yourself. The worst that happens is you get it wrong. Hit play when you're ready. Okay, so for this one, we start with x. So I'm going to put x first in both of these. So what makes 25 a perfect square? So again, if we go back to this, 25 is a perfect square because it's 5 squared, and 81 is a perfect square because it's 9 squared. So I am just going to write the part that makes both the top and bottom number perfect squares. Minus 5 nines plus 5 nines, right? And it all works out. So it kind of just messes with your brain a little bit, but if you follow the pattern, it all comes together. So same thing for p here then. So for 16 over 25x squared, this is going to be 4 over 5x minus 3y and 4 over 5x plus 3y. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. So just as a reminder, you can't master math just by watching YouTube videos. It's better if you practice it. So I do have additional practice problem sets on all sorts of topics, and every one includes a PDF with problems in an answer key. So if you're interested in checking out more of those, just go to the review section. Also, my review series covers a lot of other topics besides factoring. So if you're interested in checking out more videos like this where I include a refresher video and then also like the extra practice problems, if you're interested in that, go to divideandconquermath.com. Just go to the review section. Everything there is available for free. And that will bring us to the end of this video, so I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!